Thanks, Nicola. Hi, everybody. I'm Sharon. I'm a compulsive eater. I'm abstinent. Hi, Layla. So if you give me a heads up at 10 minutes.
No problem.
Thanks. So can I see you, Layla? I can see you now because your mic was on. So perhaps you'll come back into focus when I'm also keeping an eye on the time.
I'll just shout, Sharon.
Okay, cool. Okay. So lovely to see everybody. Wow, amazing. 53 of us here today. Isn't that extraordinary? And so many of you I recognize, beautiful people who do what I do. I'm abstinent today by the grace of God and the help of this community. And I know I'm abstinent because, like you, I plan 3 weighed and measured meals a day from the beautiful Grey Sheet, designed especially for a compulsive eater of my type. I write my food down, I commit it to a sponsor. I don't eat anything in between my meals, no matter what, and my abstinence is the most important thing in my life, without exception. And I really mean that. I mean, without my abstinence, there's a long-time member who always says, without my abstinence, I didn't have a life. You know, I wouldn't have a life if I was in the food. And wow, Miguel, what an incredibly powerful message to start us off. You know, the talk of weighing and measuring being a spiritual act. And I love how you focused on the subject of surrender and how your cup and your scale is the instruments that connect you with a power greater than yourself, you know. And I just love the imagery of what you initially thought would be a ball and a chain, and then you talk about freedom from surrender, and you talk about, you know, I just heard the gratitude in your voice, and that you've had a spiritual awakening. You know, thank God this isn't another diet club. You know, if I was here just to weigh and measure my food and follow a special food plan, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I'm a champion dieter, but I could never sustain it because I had no surrender. I had no sense that I was in the grip of an illness that I was completely powerless over. And the thing for me about surrender is our first step. It's admitting, you know, it says there's only one step that we do 100% here, and that is step 1. We admitted we were powerless over food, that our lives had become unmanageable. Step 1, I cannot eyeball a normal portion. I cannot control and work out what abstinence is for me. And trust me, I tried. You know, by the time I got here, I was 37. And I had tried every diet, every pill, every exercise regime, every meditation practice, a combination of all of the above, everything I had tried. And I am fiercely determined. And 12-step recovery had given me some freedom in other areas of my life. But I couldn't put the food down. And I didn't realize that I was in the grip of a progressive and critical illness, that I am allergic to like sugar, grains, and starch. And in another food fellowship, they try to, you know, pass on a message of we have 3 meals a day with nothing in between, try and avoid the white stuff. But what we didn't realize for a compulsive eater of my type is this fierce and horrendous critical allergy to sugar, grains, and starch in all its forms. So in all its unrefined, organic, whole grain, whatever, I can't even have one of those or a teaspoon of that, because inevitably, no matter how hard I tried 301 with nothing in between, as soon as I had a smidgen of the brown stuff, you know, I was then rendered completely powerless to control the quantities I ate. So how's Grey Sheet weighing and measuring a spiritual act? In admitting my powerlessness completely, I then get this opportunity to hand my will and my life over to a power greater than myself when it comes to my food. And more than that, my whole lifestyle, my whole character, my whole way of behaving. Because if you want to know why you ate, get abstinent. This is a spiritual program. There isn't a spiritual, for me, there isn't a spiritual aspect to it. It is a 12-step spiritual program. Food is mentioned once, and that's in the first step. The rest is about finding a power greater than myself and developing a relationship with that power. And so in step 2, coming to believe a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, I just had to look around this room and see people who had been restored to sanity, who over and over again testified to the miracle of how they couldn't stop eating and they wanted to die, and they came to GreySheeters Anonymous, did what was suggested, not suggested, we have requirements for abstinence here. There are no suggestions in GreySheet. That's what I love about this program. There's a black and white recovery so we can deal with the grey areas of living. But I saw you testify that you had come to believe that GreySheet was a power greater than you, and that it was restoring you to sanity when it came to the decisions you could make or couldn't make around your food. And I had the same experience, you know. I saw and I believed you. Your eyes shone with integrity, with authenticity. I believed you. You had self-respect. You had dignity. You know, it shone out of you. You said, when you said we eat without exception, we weigh and measure without exception, I believed you. And that's the miracle. And then in step 3, you know, it's asks us to make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to a power greater than ourselves. And basically we make a decision to get on to the rest of the program. And all of this is like it's a metaphor for saying to you, I can't eyeball a normal portion. I can't make decisions about my food on my own. So I'm going to ask you to help me. Now, if that's not an act of surrender, I don't know what is. And I want you to tell me what to have, how often, and in what quantities. And I'm going to write that down and I'm going to tell you. So I'm coming to believe that a power greater than myself, which is you, because you're abstinent and I wasn't, I was dying, is going to show me the way. And I followed your instruction. And you know what? I started to get some freedom. Immediately, the first weighed and measured meal I had this wonderful freedom, this peace. The volume of the noise of the food obsession turned down in my mind completely. And that making a decision to turn my will and my life over, I was completely like, you take me by the hand and show me what to do. I'm willing to go to any lengths. And that's when you started to describe the program of action that comes with weighing and measuring. So there's this initial practicing of that, the spiritual act of surrender, the admission of powerlessness, the asking for help, the making a decision, and then getting on with the rest of the program. So I'm learning every single day that in order for me to stay abstinent, it requires daily action. Action around that thing called character building. You know, the rest of the 12 steps are around understanding my behavior, my character, the personality that drove the disturbance that meant that I couldn't live comfortably within my own skin without seeking some kind of escape. And so what did I need to do? I needed to do some character building at depth. And welcome to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then, of course, our daily maintenance, 10, 11, and 12. So that's what differentiates GreySheeters Anonymous from a diet club, because we're a 12-step spiritual program of action, a design for living that works under all conditions. And but I had no way of reaching that until such time as I had my food on the scale. And the miracle of having the food on the scale is that I have a life beyond my wildest dreams. So like Miguel said, what looked on the outside, perhaps I don't care what other people think, but you know, what may seem from the outside looking in as the restrictive, you know, something that takes all of my time, whatever, it's none of my business what other people think. But for a compulsive eater of my type, taking the time to plan my meals, to write them down, to commit them to another member, to do what I said I'm going to do, to prepare for that, the plan, prepare, pray, plan, prepare, protect, gives me such a sense of dignity and self-respect that, you know, your thought of me, anybody's judgment of what I'm doing with my food is none of my business. And it certainly doesn't dictate whether or not I'm going to stay abstinent. And I've learned that from women in these rooms who do this without exception, who are gracious, who are beautiful, intelligent, courageous, brave, dignified, women with integrity. That's more attractive than, you know, a Gucci suit and a Maserati or a fancy mansion on a hill or Botox or fancy breasts or whatever. If you don't have integrity or dignity, there's nothing beautiful about you. And I learned that here. I learned that real beauty comes from integrity and dignity. And that's what this program is. Working a spiritual program a day at a time, surrendering and asking God for help each day to guide my thinking, guide my actions, direct me in His will for my life. And that you can all get your own higher powers. That's mine. To say, show me what next right action to take. My primary purpose, and it tells me in the literature, and I'm going to finish here, is to stay abstinent and help another member of this fellowship achieve abstinence and maintain abstinence. That is my primary purpose. Nothing else in my life means anything, really, unless I'm doing that. And because I do that, inadvertently, I have the most blessed life, you know. Grey Sheet abstinence gave me back my self-respect. It gave me an education. It gave me an opportunity. I have 2 careers that I absolutely love. If you told me I'd be doing what I'm doing today,
You've got 5 minutes left, Sharon.
Thanks, Layla. 14 years ago, I would never have believed you. I came here a broken woman, lost, terrified, mentally very unwell, horrendously physically unwell, mentally unwell. My nervous system was shot to shreds. And a day at a time, you put me back together again with that magical those spiritual instruments, the scale and the spoons, and my sponsor, and your experience, strength, and hope. Slowly but surely, I was put back together again and molded into, I believe, the woman God wants me to be, so that I can be of maximum service in the world. So staying abstinence keeps this channel clear. So it keeps me so that I'm an instrument. I haven't arrived anywhere. I suffer with a critical illness that, left untreated, will kill me. But as I've said, the joy and the gratitude I have, how much I love this life, I will go to any lengths to protect my abstinence today. This works for a compulsive eater of my type. So thanks for letting me share. I'll leave it there.